Good afternoon, all of you. Ajanta Education Society's Sant Jnaneshwar Mahavidyalaya Sohito Science Forum, which has been organized by Dr. C.V. Raman Lecture Series, especially on the occasion of National Science Day. Today is April and April Fool. So whatever I say is not the April Fool. So there you have to find out the sense within. So here I would like to bring your attention to the main important topic of today's science forum, that is Indian English Literature and Science. This lecture is very much important for the Faculty of Science, for the humanities, arts and humanities, and almost all the disciplines of knowledge. If you peep into the facts of the presentations and interpretations that I am going to put forth through this lecture. So first and foremost, one thing is very conspicuous for all of us to exactly ascertain: what is meant by knowledge? What is knowledge? It's not easy to understand knowledge. It's very easy to define things. We all know what poetry means, but we don't know what it is. We all know what light means, but we don't know what it is. It's very easy to define things, but it's very difficult to interpret what something really is. Definitions, theorems, assumptions, scientific temperaments are all the rational beings. Intellectualizing things is a prime concern of human capabilities. But apart from this, the focus is going to be made on the interpretation of the things which have been perceived by human beings. How many times it thundered before Franklin took the hint? How many apples fell on Newton's head before he took the hint? The nature is always hinting at us. It hints over and over again, and suddenly we take the hint. How many times it thundered before Franklin took the hint? Before Franklin also there was the thundering in the sky, but nobody noticed what it means, what it is. How many times it thundered before Franklin took the hint? How many apples fell on Newton's head before he took the hint? Before Newton also the apples used to fall down, but nobody has thought about gravitational force that brings the things back on the earth. Then what about Bermuda Triangle? Why we keep silence talking about Bermuda Triangle? What are the geographical aspects, geometrical aspects, mathematical science, geographical areas, and the mythology on other hand, Adhyatma on other hand? So here, talking about Indian literature, so the focus will be made on these things. Indian literature Here we are talking about Sanskrit literature, which is mostly divided in three parts, three periods. The first is the Vedic period, which has the Vedas and Upanishads. The second is the epic period, which includes the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, and the classical period, wherein we come across the lyrics of Kalidasa. So we are talking about Indian literature. I mean to say that the solution of all global problems is India. How? You will come to know through my presentation. So here we are talking about Indian literature. It means the focus, India itself is a resource of research. Numerous research can be undertaken, executed on most of the things which have not yet been explored. Research is a rational journey towards interpreting the unexplored portion through the base of observation, scientific observations, analysis, interpretation, and hypothesis that we make in order to ascertain things. So here, Indian literature refers to the world's oldest and the richest literature. Knowledge is something different. What is knowledge? What we perceive is not knowledge. Perception is not knowledge. Perception may be deception. There are senses. Through senses, we acquire knowledge. Jnana. Objects are there in the nature. The objects are being perceived by human beings. And for these objects, we call it knowledge. Is it knowledge? Knowledge is something else. Here, I am talking about universal knowledge. That's why in Indian literature there is Yuvakri. Yuvakri was in pursuit of knowledge. But he is not in the pursuit of knowledge that is superficially observed, that is sensed through the sensory organs. Here, knowledge refers to the universal knowledge. That's why you can say that there are two Brahmandas. One is within you, one surrounds you. Brahmayeva Jagat Karanam. The concepts may seem to be irrational for those who rely their intelligence on the basis of the reason. They intellectualize things. They look at very simple things. Science refers to your rationality. Literature refers to your heart, emotions, feelings, sentiments. And the spirit refers to Adhyatma. So what is Adhyatma? What is Samadhi? That is your super consciousness. This is the spiritual meditation on time and eternity. If you ask yourself the question why, for everything, you won't find the answers easily. So that's why in the Indian literature, knowledge was transmitted orally, oral traditions. The knowledge was transferred from generation to generation. That's why it is said something like ek party, don party, something. If I say something, you get it. But everything was not written. And the basic fact about the Indian literature we are talking about is the karma. So life is a tale of ecstasy and despair, full of anxieties. Life is based on karmas to release ourselves from the cyclical pattern of birth and death. It's a ceaseless cycle, it's a continual cycle of the births and deaths. So then we come across mythology, which refers to the old stories and beliefs. Then Sanskrit literature, classical literature, medieval literature, regional literatures. In India, we have 22 official languages, namely Assami, Bengali, Bodo, Dogri, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Konkani, Maithili, Malayalam, Manipuri, Marathi, Nepali, Oriya, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Santhali, Sindhi, Tamil, Telugu, Urdu. Then we come across the colonial and post-colonial period, which we know it very well. So here we are talking about Sanskrit literature. Suppose I say, Yani anabadhani tani karmani sevitani nohitra. Things will not be clear unless you have the knowledge of Sanskrit. If I say A, what is the meaning of A? Nothing. B, what is B? Then we say B for ball, A for apple. What is it? But in Vedic language, it is not like that. The sound matters. The sound has its own connotative and denotative implications. So here, we are talking about Sanskrit language and we must not call it as a dead language. If you make it dead, you will be dead, because all the answers will be found in Vedic literature. What perception we have towards the knowledge which has not been unlocked, unraveled, explored for the critics, philosophers, scientists in the nation, across the nation, needs to be peeped into the facts. What is reality for me may not be the reality for you, because reality is a relative term. Because for example, take the example of an elephant is there. Elephant is an object, and there are 4 blind men. The 4 blind men touch the elephant, but the perception of each blind man differs. The first may say that the elephant is like the tail. The second may say that the elephant is like the head or like the body. Interpretation is not the finalization of the truth. Truth is something else. So what we perceive may not be knowledge. That's why I was talking something about something about Yavakri. Yavakri studied everything. He was in pursuit of knowledge. What knowledge? Cosmic knowledge, universal knowledge. Knowledge that we observe may be the deception. The knowledge we find it in the books, that's not the knowledge. That is the deceptive knowledge. If you look at the people who are called illiterate, but they are in deep meditation, in abhangas, maybe they are enjoying the universal knowledge, but we don't. Our sense perception is not the knowledge. So he was in pursuit of knowledge and he left everything and went to the jungle. And what he found in the jungle? He was in deep meditation. And he asked for God, I am looking for the cosmic knowledge. And with the touch of the God, he realized experience is not expression. Experience is different and expression is different. There is the process. Knowledge is nothing but the process of internalization and externalization of the facts. We internalize the truth, we externalize the truth. The process of internalization and externalization may not be the knowledge that we are looking for. It must be the different thing, or it must be a different thing. So that's why I will not go details with this, just I proceed forward. That's why the Sanskrit language is to be understood in order to understand Sanskrit literature. So we are talking about the text by Aryans produced about 16th century before Christ. Actually, originally nomadic established kingdoms in North India. So here is the book, that is Bodhisattva doctrine in Buddhist Sanskrit literature. In Sanskrit literature, the focus is made especially on religious texts. We are talking about Vedas, means knowledge, the book of knowledge, which was composed by old Sanskrit by Aryan poets. We talk about Hindu religion, we talk about rites, hymns and the chants in Sanskrit literature. The focus is on the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. And the mantra text of each of the Vedas is called Samhita. In Rig Veda, just the information is displayed on the board. In Rig Veda, 1080 hymns to God. Sama Veda is called the book of chants. Yajur Veda is called the prayer book. And Atharva Veda is all about the spells or hymns or spells or incarnations or demology or witchcraft. Demology refers to the demons, and there are many things about the demology, wherein the demons are studied. In four Vedas, so the details are here, just I summarize things. In Rig Veda, the religion is Hinduism, language is Vedic Sanskrit, period is given 1500 to 1000, chapters 10 mandalas, verses 10,552 mantras. So here Rig Veda means Rig Veda, that is means praise, and Veda means knowledge. Here we are talking about the universal knowledge or cosmic knowledge. Then Sama Veda refers to the song and knowledge, celebrating the song of knowledge. In Sama Veda, chapters are six adhyayas and 1875 mantras. In Yajur Veda, Yajus means worship and Veda means knowledge, worshipping knowledge. So here 40 adhyayas are there and 1975 mantras. Atharva Veda, wherein 20 khandas, 5977 mantras. So Brahmanas, prose texts are there, refers to the prose text. So wherein the sacrificial rituals and meaning is interpreted, especially it is composed by Hindu priests. Then we go for Aranyakas. It refers to the wilderness text or forest treatise, composed especially by the people who meditated in the woods. Aranyakas refers to the interpretations of dangerous rituals. Aranyakas refers to the knowledge of Indian ancient Vedas, especially the meaning of ritual sacrifice. Upanishads, so it's a philosophical treatise. In Upanishads, there is the base of Hindu philosophy. It has been composed by a group of sages, and sages questioned about the usefulness of ritual religion. There are 108 dialogues between teachers and students about the soul's unity. Then three baskets, it's all about the three baskets, it's about the religious text of Buddhism, especially it is written in Pali language. It talks about the teachings of Lord Buddha. Talking about Lord Buddha, we talk about Tipitaka, that is the three baskets. It's a religious text of Buddhism. It is written in Pali language. It talks about the teachings of Buddha. Tripitaka. Then Jatakas, it's about the stories of births of the Buddha. 547 stories of Buddha's former births talked about in Jatakas.
अजंता caves या सगळ्या याच्यावरच आहे म्हणजे पिटिका जातक so on.
Then we came across the heroic text, the Mahabharata. It's all about, it's actually the epic of the Bharata dynasty written by Vyasa. There is a dispute about two branches of the Bharata, and it talks about the right to rule the kingdom. So the focus I would like to make especially on the secrets of the Mahabharata. Just I will focus some important things because of the time constraint. Secrets of the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is supposed to be the Pancham Veda. There is the mystery of 18 number, 18. The Mahabharata was fought for 18 days. Akshohini army is there, 7 Pandavas and 11 Kauravas is equal to, we are talking about army, that is, the total is 18. Then Rishi Veda Vyasa, in Rishi Veda Vyasa there are 18 Parvas in Mahabharata. The composition is of the 18 Puranas, and the Bhagavad Gita had the 18 Adhyayas, and 18 warriors were alive after the war of the Mahabharata. Look at the number 18. Why it is in the 18? That's a secret. Then there is second secret thing about the Mahabharata, that is Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama is said to be alive today, the son of Dronacharya, guru of Kauravas and Pandavas. So he fought from Kauravas, therefore he was cursed, and Ashwatthama misused Brahmastra. So we are talking about in the Mahabharata also, it has been found that there was a war, and still we can listen to those sounds of the elephant, the war and all these nuisance. There is a research on that. The countries, not India, other countries, they do research on these things. There is the use of aeroplanes and atom bombs. Example, Mohenjo-daro, effects of radiation. Ashwatthama used the first Brahmastra. Soptic Parva, that is 13 to 15 effects of Brahmastra. Then the fourth secret of Mahabharata is the birth of Kauravas. Gandhari gave birth to 101 children. We call it as 100, but there was one daughter. 100 sons and one daughter named Dushala, and she got married to Jayadratha, the king of Sindhu. Vyasa blessed her for 100 children, and more than 2 years she was pregnant, and ultimately she gave birth to the piece of meat, and the meat was later divided, and Vyasa advised to cut the meat into 100 pieces and keep them in separate pots. Then she asked her for one daughter, and after 2 years, so these pieces turned into the Kauravas. That's the secret. Then there are foreign warriors participated in the war in the Mahabharata. The warriors were from the countries like Yemen, Greece, Rome, America, and the Mahabharata was said to be the first world war. Then Vedavasa wrote it. Vyasa, what is the meaning of Vyasa? I just to tell you that everyone comes here and say Adaraniya Vyasapit. Why we call it Vyasapit? That's the question. Just someone comes here, Adaraniya Vyasapit, the most intellectual person. Because we are not talking something new which has already been expressed from here. That's why the first Vandan, worship, is to the Vyasa. That's why Adaraniya
There
Vyasapit.
is another meaning for व्यासपीठ also. व्यास म्हणजे भूमितीमध्ये दोन भिन्न संपात बिंदूंना जोडणारी रेषा, म्हणून त्याला व्यास असं म्हणतात. हे आणखी एक त्याचा एक अर्थ आहे.
Scientific
की
interpretation.
दोन भिन्न विचाराचे लोक एकाच पीठावर येऊन चर्चा करायचे, त्याला व्यासपीठ असं म्हणतात.
Yes. Or then, that's why Vyasa is no name but a title which is specially bestowed upon to the sage of Veda knowledge. The 28th Veda Vyasa composed it, name Krishna, Daipan, color was like Krishna, born on island. Then the Mahabharata was written in 3 charanas. In the first charan, we have 8,800 shlokas. In the second charan and third charan, Rashis were not the base of astrologers. Astrologers was based on 17 nakshatra. So later, future known through positions of moon and sun, and there is no reference in the Mahabharata how the planets affect human beings. So one more secrecy is found, that is about the death of Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna. 7 warriors killed him. Abhimanyu killed the son of Duryodhana. Son of Dushasana killed Abhimanyu. So there is one more mystery, that there is the cut off head of Barbaric. And who saw the Mahabharata? Barbaric was the son of Bhima. He decided to fight for the defeated ones. He had only 3 arrows to fight against Kauravas. Krishna asked for the head. Then he requested to watch the Mahabharata till end, bathed with amrutas and placed at the mountain. Dhritarashtra was blind because he was cursed. He killed 100 birds, and that's why he was blinded. And 50 lives of rebirth. After 50 lives, he took the rebirths and became King Dhritarashtra. To Tukarama, one question was asked, how you got the life of human beings? By one of the Varkaris. The answer was very nice. जन्मो जन्मी आम ही बहु पुण्य केले तेव्हा या विठाले कृपा केली. We have the form of human beings means we did something great things in the past, and this is a continuation of the life. And moksha, or the redemption, is the ultimate aim of all the human beings. Liberation from the cyclical pattern of birth and death, that is the freedom, that is redemption, moksha. And we need to get redeemed from the cyclical pattern of birth and death only when you are in the form of human beings. Human being the humans is the only golden chance that we have to liberate ourselves from the cyclical pattern of birth and death. If we miss this chance, again we will be in the cyclical pattern. So I don't want to go in detail, just I give you some summarized factors. That D plus D is equal to D, Dharma plus Dharma is equal to Dharma, Dharma plus Adharma is equal to Dharma, right? 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 Dharma, 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. You know, if something wrong is going on, if you fight against it, then it's a Dharma. As you know in the Mahabharata that on the field of Kurukshetra, Parth, the Arjuna, could not see the Virat Sarupa of Lord. Why? Because lightness is darkness, and darkness is lightness. Extreme light is darkness, and extreme darkness is light. In life, we discriminate things as dark, right? In life, what exactly we do? We find out the differences between the presence and absence. Right? Just if I ask you a question like this, how will you prove yourself that you are here? If I ask you the question like this, how will you prove yourself that you are here? For example, if I say, this is my matha or this is my cup, right? For example, if I say, why I connect myself with this cup? Because I am different and this cup is different. I want to connect myself with this cup. That's why I use the possessive my. In the same fashion, I say, this is my body. Then who are you? You are different from your body. It means some chairs are empty here. This emptiness proves your presence. At this signal, at the traffic signal, you look at the red light and suddenly you stop. Why you stop? Because it's a red color. Right? Why it is red? Why to call it is red? Because it is not blue. It means not is important. It means absence marks the presence. There is also great debate between yes and no. God is there, God is not there. Yes. There is a debate across the nations as well. Ghost is there, ghost is not there. It means when you will say no, if there is something. When will you say no? You can't say no to anything if there is some presence. What is that presence? Human intellectuality cannot understand all these facts. So that's why here I say that dharma plus dharma is equal to dharma, dharma plus adharma is equal to dharma. If you are using the bad ways, the worst ways to diminish the adharmas, then it's dharma. In the Ramayana, we have the story of Ramayana. You know much knowledge about Ramayana and Mahabharata. Just I focus on some important aspects. Rama, the prince of Ayodhya, and the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, written by the poet Valmiki. The first thing is that we need to believe in Vedic history. Why? Because there is a mysterious thing that we can find out, that is the Bermuda Triangle. That is called the Devil's Triangle. Nobody has ever understood what is it. No scientist, no philosopher, no poet, no writer, nobody. And nobody will not find what it is. We try to understand the physics behind it, but is it the final thing? In Bermuda Triangle, that is exactly the location, is the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean. Just I tell you something about the adhyatma behind it. You believe or you don't believe, it's up to us. But it's a mystery. It is said that Hanumana created it. Hanumana put the money into that Bermuda Triangle. What money? That is the money with Ravana, the demon Ravana. And it was difficult to kill him. So that's why Lord Shankara appeared to Mandodari, the wife of demon Ravana, in the guise of a sage, sadhu, and asked her for money. And later the Rama killed Ravana. But that is the energy. As you know, energy, what is energy? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. The total amount of energy is universally constant. E is equal to mc square, where we fell. C is the velocity of light. Right? Energy is transformed from one to another. It will not get diminished. It was something like with the money. Yes. Sorry for interruption, technical disturbance. So, what happened is that Hanumana created it. So, I was talking something about the appearance of Shankara in the guise of sage, and he appeared there in front of Mandodari. And at that time, there is a rule that if someone says Bhiksham Dehi, Bhiksha is given. Never say no. If you say no, again you will suffer, something like that. So that's why Mandodari gave that money, Jiv, Shankara, Lord Shankara. And Hanumana was expected to put it somewhere else where it will be safe and that will not be destructive. That will have the tremendous power to fetch things down. That's why it was put in the Bermuda Triangle, that is called the Devil's Trap. No science has ever understood what it is. Because this nature is more powerful than human intelligence. You cannot be more than intelligent, more than nature. Just what we do, just we use some logic, just we can interpret things accordingly, and then we go on. What are the secrets in the Mahabharata? Ramayana. In the Ramayana there is Ashok Vatika, and that is exactly at Chatal, Hirya in Sri Lanka. I was in Colombo, near Lakshadweep, and these things are still there in Sri Lanka. Then we should not say that all these things didn't happen at that time. There is second example, that is the example of hot water wells around the temple. That who made the hot water wells? That is Ravana at Kaniya in Sri Lanka. Then Jatayu Adol is there at Kerala. Still there. I was invited as a chief guest in Kollam. I visited the place, Jatayu. Then you can find in many places the footprints of Hanumana. It is at Nashik also. It is available, or you can witness this thing as the evidence in Sita temple in Sri Lanka. So there is another evidence of the Ramayana, that is the burnt soil, that is the evidence for Lanka burning, that Hanumana did so. Then there is another example of Ramasetu, which was built between India and Sri Lanka. So the construction at Ramayana was proved. There is one more thing which is still surprising, talking about science, especially the stone floating. You know, the things which have the weight, can you find it floating? No. Because you can't find this as floating, but you find these things there in Sri Lanka, and this is also called as Adam's Bridge at present. There is one more example, that is the Sanjeevani mountain, that it is said that मी ग्रॅज्युएशनला असताना असं म्हणले ते एका सरांनी की हनुमानाने ते उचललं डोंगर आणि असा आणला. हा, ते काय हॉटेलचं राईस प्लेट होतं का? व्हॉट यू नो अबाउट हनुमाना? Maruti is the word which comes from Marut. Marut means Hawa. You are here because of air. Air. If you someone does like that, you will die out of suffocations. Right? Only because of air you are alive. We call it oxygen. In chemistry, what we find in chemistry? In chemistry, H2O is there, two molecules of hydrogen and oxygen. When the two molecules of hydrogen is treated with oxygen in presence of sunlight, then there is the formation of H2O. H2O means a single drop of water. Look at the ocean. How many chemical reactions go there? Count it. Can we count the chemical reactions there? What I want to prove and suggest is that human intelligence cannot surpass nature. The nature is much more bigger than human beings, or the rationality, or experimentations, observations that we undergo in order to find out the truth of facts. So that's why Sanjivani mountain, Hanumana brought the Sanjivani from Himalaya to Lanka to save Lakshmana. The place is found at Hiripitiya in Sri Lanka. So what do you find? You can find the plants there in Sri Lanka. The same characteristics are there that you can find in Himalaya. The plants have the same characteristics. Then there is one more mystery, that is the mystery of ancient caves. That is the Lanka burned by Hanumana. There is Sita in caves, and Sita was hidden when the Lanka was burned. And the name of that cave is called Cobra Hood in Sri Lanka. And the evidences are there, that is the pictures and embroidery you can find there. There is one more example, that is Raman Mahal in Sri Lanka. If you go to Sri Lanka, you can find Ravan Mahal as well. So this also proves that the Ramayana happened at that particular moment of time. And this Ravan Mahal is a demonstration of the track or the way that you can find from Mahal to Secret Cave. There is one more link you can find, that is about the Bermuda Truth. So we don't have time, that's why I skip this. Then the classical literature is there. We started with the Gupta dynasty. We talk about philosophy, sciences and arts, Hinduism. So the literature was especially nurtured by caste system, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Scholars and priests, Brahmin, Kshatriya were called warriors, Vaishya merchants, and Shudra laborers. So at that particular moment of time, there was a literary form that is called Kavya. That is a major form of classical literature in Sanskrit. Then we have Kalidasa, the preeminent classical poet. Raghuvamsha, Meghaduta, Shakuntala, these are the major works. Then there is one more thing about Sanskrit drama, that is Mrichakatika, then Malati, Madhava. Then we go for Panchatantra. There are the collection of stories are there in prose and verse. So animals are characters. You can watch it on TV also, Panchatantra. It talks about a number of moral lessons for the human behavior. Many things you can find in Panchatantra. Then Puranas, it's all about the mythological narrative. Puranas talk about the creation of universe, the destruction and recreation of the universe. It talks about the presence of God, reign of the Manus, legendary Hindu figures, and it talks about the history of the kings, especially the ancestry of the sun and the moon. Then we have medieval literature, different religions, how they are differently known for their distinctiveness, that is the distinctive culture. In medieval period, Islamic dynasties were there and they conquered many territories. So Indian languages were greatly influenced by Islamic religion, Persian, Arabian languages. And we can find in medieval literature there is a great emergence of myths, legends and romances and epics. Then we come across Bhakti literature, devotional literature. This is the aspect of religion. It talks about the passionate emotional devotion to a particular god. In Bhakti literature, we come across Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Krishna, Rama, Lakshmi, Ganesha. Bhakti poets usually were the men and women of lower caste, authors belonging to Hindu movement, and they wrote about the lyric poetry. Then there is the British period, colonial power, as you know. Then focus on the Bengal Renaissance. Rabindranath Tagore, as you know, the innovative poet of the Bengali language. He is known for Gitanjali, Nobel Prize winner, and the independence part. This part is very important because here we are talking about science. Just I will finish my lecture as early as possible. Just this is the second part. Actually, my lecture is divided in 4 parts. This is the second part. Just I will sum up this second part because I talked about the first part. Science is there. Just give me 2 minutes. I will finish it as early as possible. We are talking about the scientific achievements of ancient India. Scientific achievements of ancient India. This lecture is important for the students of science and the teachers of science. Talking about the scientific achievements, it focused on religion, philosophy, literature, mathematics, astronomy, science, medicine, Ayurveda. First part is about mathematics and astronomy. In mathematics, there are a number of theorems and concepts. But the base for all the theorems and concepts that we can find in the ancient Indian mathematics, the Western counterparts have publicity and rediscovered the same later, and we believe it. Euclid was the ancient Greek mathematician. Bodhan is there, who was the first mathematician to calculate the value of pi, that is, any area of circumference that can be calculated. So, this provided equations similar to Pythagoras' theorem in his book Sulva Sutra, much before Pythagoras. Then we have Aryabhatta from the 5th century. Aryabhatta was a mathematician, astronomer, physicist from the 5th century. Just at the age of 23, Aryabhatta authored the book that is Aryabhattiya, which talked about the advanced mathematical concepts. The book is based on decimal system, number theory, geometry, trigonometry, algebra and astronomy. There is a complete summary of mathematics in Aryabhatta. Talking about Aryabhatta, there is one more thing, that is the invention of zero was his most notable contribution in the field of mathematics, and it led him to calculate the distance between the earth and moon. Aryabhatta was the great Indian mathematician who calculated the value of pi at 3.1416. Most important hypothesis contributed by Aryabhatta is the space science. He talked about solar system. Aryabhatta's mathematical calculations were based on his astronomical observations. The earth is not immovable. The earth is a spherical body rotating on its own axis. Earth moves. That's the concept of Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta talked about heliocentrism, Accordingly, all the planets rotate around the sun. He gave a scientific explanation of the solar and lunar eclipse. Eclipse does not take place due to Rahu, Ketu, demons, Rakshasas. It was the first Aryabhatta who studied and put forth the facts. That's why Aryabhatta is also the name of the first satellite in India, that is Aryabhatta, launched in 1975. Then there is Brahmagupta, that is 7th century AD, and he reached mathematics at the culmination point. Brahmagupta talked about the method of multiplication. Then he used multiplication techniques which are similar to modern methods. Brahmagupta introduced zero related problems or operations in mathematics. Brahma Sputi Siddhanta, that is 470 pages are there in Sanskrit. Then Arab learned the Indian mathematical system through Brahma Sputa Siddhantika, that is a book authored by Brahmagupta. So there he talked about the measuring instruments in the book. Astronomers used to take the readings of the book. Then after Brahmagupta, there is the appearance of Bhaskaracharya 500 years after, that is in the 12th century AD. Then he was born in Bijapur district in Karnataka state. In the 12th century, Bhaskaracharya authored the book Siddhanta Shiromani, that was a masterpiece in arithmetic, algebra, spares, mathematics of planets. So here Bhaskaracharya wrote 4 sections, that is Lilavati, Binjaganit, Goladhyaya, Gruhaganit, that is arithmetic, algebra, spheres, and mathematics of planets. This is the scientific question we can find in ancient history. Then Bhaskaracharya, that is in the 19th century, the same book, that is the Lilavati, was translated into English, and we come to know about James Taylor, and we talk about his inventions. The world came to know about the brilliant concepts of Bhaskaracharya, mathematical from 12th century. Bhaskaracharya invented the cyclic method to solve algebra, which was later popularized as the inverse cyclic method of Europeans. Then we have the Jain gurus in the field of mathematics, that is okay. In this way, thank you very much for your patient listening to my lecture. लाईटला पण आवडलं नाही, शेवटी लाईटच ठरवलं की संपून टाक. चलो, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.